All right, what is up, guys? Welcome back, and boy, have I got a really good replay for you guys here today. This is going to be showing you guys a match between the two best players in the world for their respective races. Today, I'm going to be bringing you guys a matchup between IM.Nestea, well regarded as the best Zerg in the world, and his teammate, IM.MVP, well regarded as the best Terran in the world. They are teammates. They are going to be fighting it out here, and I believe this is from the finals of either BlizzCon or the MLG before Providence. Not entirely sure, guys, but this replay did crop up. Somebody asked me to cast it, and I said, well, you know, why not? It is the finals, and it was it was a spectacular game. I don't actually remember it because, as you guys all know, I'm watching Starcraft 2 all day. I breathe, live, eat, and crap Starcraft 2. So it goes in and out of my body so quickly, I do forget matches. Yeah, this should be a good game. I'm very excited to be bringing you guys a match between basically the best Terran and the best Zerg in the world. They are on the same team, and it is Nestea and MVP. This map is Shakuris Plateau. I am not going to be doing the entire series. I'm just going to be doing this match, which are most considered to be the best match of the match, if that makes any sense to you guys. And it should be a good one. Terran versus Zerg. Hopefully you guys strap yourselves in for a good show. And as always, I'm going to be your commentator. This is HD. And if you guys want to check me out on YouTube, you guys can find more StarCraft 2 content with me commentating at youtube.com/HDStarcraft. And you guys can also check me out on Twitter and Facebook at HDStarcraft as well. So here we are. We have Nestea, who is the controller of the Zerg. He is sending in his Overlord here. Love how he pulled away. I don't know if you guys ever noticed this, but a lot of Zergs, when they send the Overlord in, immediately, as soon as they see that command center, the first thing they'll do, and I even do this, is pull it away, divert it into another direction, and that makes it so that the Terran player doesn't see the direction the Overlord is coming from. And it's just a sneaky way. So there you guys saw MVP trying to check for the Overlord, but he missed it just a little bit too late. And so that scout actually is going to make its way over there anyways. So I guess it didn't matter on this map, but on a lot of maps that can really help out. If you scout out your opponent first with the Overlord, because the Overlord has more sight range than a command center, you can pull it away, and then you can kind of get that extra edge against a Terran. But I guess it doesn't really matter now, because MVP did make his way in. Tingly spider sense is tingling right here for MVP. And you know what, since these guys are teammates, you also have to factor in the fact that they play so many matches together, and with that knowledge, you have to remember that a lot of times players are going to play to that next level. They're going to try to trick their opponent and play outside of the normal practice regimen. And here we have MVP throwing down a bunker. This is a single bunker, single barracks harass ploy here, and a factory coming up after this. A lot of drones getting pulled off here, but Nestea only pulling the drones off to mine with, and that was a great play by Nestea. You guys might not know this, but it's a kind of double-edged sword, because, well, I guess double-edged sword isn't the right way to describe it, but it's kind of a double play here from Nestea, because not only does he pull the drones down here to mine, but he also scared away the SCV, scared away the Marines that could have hopped inside the bunker. MVP decided to retreat back to the Xel'Naga Tower, and I think if MVP had been a little more persistent, he might have been able to get a couple drone kills. But here comes Nestea here, maybe being a little bit too persistent on the Zerg side, as he runs into the Marines at the tower and ends up losing a couple of Zerglings there. That was not worth it at all from Nestea's point of view, and now has to throw up a spine crawler as well. He will have to put the queen in the front to try to absorb a little bit of damage, trying to poke away one or two of the Marines here, but those 4 Marines really getting cost-effective. Love the micro from MVP. And this is actually one of the reasons why MVP and Nestea are so damn good. Their micro on top of their macro. You know, a lot of players say to get to Masters League, all you have to do is macro well. To get from Masters League to the next league, which is, I don't know, the Pro League, I guess you could say, you have to be able to micro well. And a lot of people confuse that at the lower levels. They think you have to micro well to get from bronze to silver, but that's not really the case. You need to macro, and then you need to micro. And both these players displaying very good control on both fronts here. MVP trying to run that Hellion inside, but the spine crawler has been uprooted to get to a more northerly position, and here comes the Zerglings. Nice from Nestea, runs in and he picks off 2 Marines, but now the supply depots have raised up, and those Zerglings are cornered in. They will have nowhere to run, and now Nestea's really best objective here should be to retreat the Zerglings and get them all home safely, but unfortunately for Nestea, only 1 Zergling makes it out alive, the last one falling to the hands of those Hellions. one quick note here for you guys who are statistics lovers. Nestea actually worst win rate against Terran at a measly 56%. His other win rates against Protoss and Zerg skyrocket 80 and 90%. It's insane. Meanwhile, his opponent and teammate MVP actually has a much more solid win rate across all 3 matchups, everywhere at least 60%. So Nestea, I think, has his work cut out here against MVP because MVP is such a solid player against Zerg, whereas Nestea falters when playing against Terran. So we'll just have to see what happens. MVP here posturing outside of the natural, and I really like this. More Terran players need to do this. Leave 6 Hellions at the front of the Nat, and what this really forces a Zerg to do is not only invest in the buildings to prevent a potential run-by and leaving the Queens at the ramp so that they can't be injecting larvae, but on top of that, of course, as you guys all know, I'm always saying this, it prevents creep spread, which is so important from a Zerg perspective. Every Zerg player will always agree that creep spread is another resource that Zerg have to manage, and they have to manage well if they're going to win the game. And leaving these Hellions here really is annoying from a Zerg side of things, and it looks like a Queen may end up going down. No, Nestea once again displaying very good control, bringing that Queen to the back next to the hatchery, just outside of the range of the Hellions to keep it alive, to inject larvae and maybe spread some creep. And right now Nestea also getting a Spire up. Where's that Spire? There it is. So Nestea, interestingly, going for what seems to be a very, very quick Spire. That's usually not coming up this early on in the game, but Nestea here is getting a pretty quick one, guys. And let's see, he had speed already. Yes, he does. He has Baneling Nest down coming already. I don't know. It's just Nestea is very, very quick about getting his buildings up, and this Spire is going to be up in a couple of seconds, and those metas should arrive, you know, a little bit earlier than the 12-minute mark. I would say maybe 11 minutes. We might see some muta play here, and if MVP is not aware of the quick Mutalisk, he could be in trouble. He's going to have to get some missile turrets up, or he's going to fall susceptible to the 11-minute mutas, when usually Zerg players get the Mutalisks out around the 12-minute mark. And now, do we have mutas on the way? Nestea not having quite enough minerals to spend the rest of the 300 gas, but that's just going to delay those extra 3 Mutalisks by a little bit more, so nothing too serious. But I really like what Nestea's doing here. Even though he is cornered in the natural, now bringing out the Spine Crawler to try to help poke away these Hellions and try to spread some creep and maybe grab the third. And that's really the reason why these mutas are so quick. Nestea hasn't grabbed a third yet. In fact, he has only placed a macro hatchery inside his natural. He really hasn't gone for a third at all. And this is going to be very, very interesting how these Mutalisks come out. And Nestea is going to bypass the Hellions' vision. He's flying the Mutalisks to the north of the Hellions and gonna rendezvous them outside the range of Nestea, or of MVP's main. But MVP's already getting turrets up. MVP is already getting turrets up. Wow, unbelievable. At the 11-minute 20-second mark, he has all his turrets ready to go, and those preliminary turrets are enough to deal with the preliminary Mutalisks. Very nice job by MVP, and I really think MVP's in control of this game, guys. Now, for the first time, though, his teammate and opponent Nestea is going to be able to push out, and that's huge. Now Nestea can finally grab a third hatchery, the second expansion, and we do have the drones making their way over to the bottom right-hand corner. In fact, Nestea, to make up for the fact that he's fallen behind in this game, is going to double expand. This is so risky from Nestea. Really, he doesn't have that many troops at all, but he is going to go for the double expand regardless, and it could very well pay off for him. In fact, he may need to do this, because if he doesn't, he will just straight up lose the game to the macro of MVP. Also love the little contaminate or corruption from the Overseer right there. Just preventing, I guess, SCVs from being constructed from the macro command center. So very nice from Nestea. You know, utilizing every trick you can possibly do. A lot of times players will let the Overseers sit idly by as it accumulates excess amounts of energy, and Nestea's just showing, you know what, why not just use that Overseer to prevent SCV production. It's pretty nice to have, and just utilizing all the resources here from the Zerg is Nestea. And meanwhile, let's see what MVP is doing back inside the main. Mass bio production here. Would love to see some more barracks get thrown down. In fact, he's adding on some additional factories here, so he really wants to ramp up mech production. Also clearing up the supplies so he can get more capacity out. And here comes the Mutalisk flying around the backside here, but MVP's all over it, man. He's got turrets all around the perimeter, and he's got Marines back here as well, ready to stim up. Yeah, those Mutalisks are not going to find any opening at all. And You know, that's just the nature of this game in Zerg versus Terran. It's the Zerg's responsibility to find an opening and to do damage with those Mutilas. Otherwise, they're really not worth it. And Nestea right now could really use some damage to get back in this game. One thing though that Nestea's been doing spectacularly well is his drone count. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen, 87 drones at only 14 minutes in. He has about 33% more workers than his Terran counterpart. And even though he has more workers, his army still is lower than MVP's. Look at MVP's tank and marine count here. MVP's macro is just too damn good, now beginning to push out, and he has felt that now is the time that is necessary to secure that pocket expansion. And you know, it's very interesting to note that a lot of Terran players on this map will always secure the pocket, and a lot of Zergs will always secure the exterior expansions. A Zerg always wants to expand away from the Terran wants to expand towards the Zerg, and MVP running in here with a couple of Hellions, trying to do some damage. Not really doing that much at all, and even though a couple of drones went down, you know, I think Nestea can afford to lose a couple when he's got 90 workers. So that is one thing that is going well for Nestea. Nestea has a lot of economy, he's got plenty of hatcheries, but he's got to utilize these resources well. Toe for toe, Zerg units do not stand cost effectively against Terran, and now's a great time. It's 16 minutes in, it's a great time for Nestea to think about researching the infestation pit. Actually, he's got it down coming right now, and get up to Hive, get that Hive tech rolling. That would be very, very nice to have. Meanwhile, MVP getting command centers, a ton of command centers down next to his army here. So I think he's going to be thinking about getting that double expand pretty soon here. Meanwhile, though, Nestea coming in with a huge block of Mutilas. He has exposed the natural, killing off both turrets. SCV's quickly making a run for the northern mineral patch, trying to clump up and run away from these Mutilas, but Nestea is just hungry. He's salivating from the mouth. He's hungry for SCV kills, and he's actually killed off 8 so far this game. That is such a huge mutant pack. And this clump of mutas could do a lot of damage, but here comes the Marines quickly stemming back. 1-1, 1-2 now, as that secondary upgrade finishes up right on time. And Nestea's 0-1 Mutilas cannot hope to stand up to those 1-2 Marines, especially with stim. Those Mutas will just get torn to shreds, and this is where Mutilas have to use their superior mobility, especially on Shakura's Plateau. This is an excellent map for Mutilas to dive in and work their way around the Terran base, and this is where Nestea is really showing his magic. He's picking off more SCVs at the main, forcing those Marines to stim up, use up energy, and now Nestea can just kind of weave around the back and go to the natural. That's exactly what he's looking to do here, all the meanwhile expanding, or at least saturating this bottom expansion, and he may actually be able to pick off this command center, or at least delay its mining for some time here as Nestea comes in once again with his pack of Mutilas, forcing those Marines to stim up. And those stims don't come cheap, guys. From a Terran perspective, you do not want to be over or excessively stimming your Marines. You don't have infinite medevacs. You need to make sure that your Marines are always in tip-top shape. Otherwise, something like this can happen. And Nestea runs in, he picks off a Thor, only for the cost of about 10 or so Zerglings. I'll take that trade any day. And he's once again working his way to the back of the natural. This is such a good spot for Nestea. He can strike the Nat, he can strike the third, and he can also go all the way around to the back of the main as well. Love the positioning from the Zerg player here, and all the meantime, he's just buying more time to get up to Hive. He's got Greater Spire on the way right now. He's got Adrenal Glands. He's going to pick off an Armory. That is going to prevent a lot of upgrades and a lot of Thors. And anytime you can prevent Thors, man, that's a good proposition from a Zerg perspective. MVP right now really is just bottled up. He's unable to make an offensive. I'm surprised he hasn't been able to bring a medevac out yet, but really, there's so many Mutilas in the skies. Until he can deal with this Muta clump, he really does not have access to the air. He doesn't have sky control. He cannot harass a Zerg player. So this is a good situation for Nestea as long as he can keep these Mutilas alive. It's important to note that a lot of Zerg players are, you know, a little too frisky with their mutas, myself included. And when you get too frisky and you lose all your mutas, that's when the game can change in a hurry. So Nestea's primary goal here should be keep the Mutalisks alive, continue to harass, and continue to macro. He's got another hatchery coming up, working down the rocks into the pocket expansion, and here comes a medevac. We will have a drop for the first time in this game, to my knowledge at least, but there are crawlers there already and a couple of banelings as well. I don't know if this drop is going to work for MVP at all, and here comes those two banelings. Yeah, MVP immediately retreats some Marines inside the medevac, but there's a muta there as well. Wow, Nestea so smart, leaving a muta there, but actually was not controlling that mutalist at that time, as he's more worried about controlling the rest of these mutas over here. But I was actually going to say, very smart to leave a solo muta here, because that muta can chase down a medevac if MVP loads up all the Marines inside the medevac. At least you have